Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Battle Brothers Season 3. As today we leave Eisengrab behind and continue heading south to get our just deserts. It's been a long time coming, technically since Season 2. And I will say, in scouting out our potential routes here, I did notice that if we go clockwise, that is going to immediately take us past multiple noble-only locations. This entire northern stretch is primarily just citadels, which is theoretically great for trade or for noble quests if we're qualified, which we're not at the moment. But, you know, if we actually want to make money with our current crew, we might want to take this counterclockwise instead, since that will notably take us past several locations that offer more conventional quests. But, you know, as per usual, we'll just start moving for now. And play things by ear. No point in getting too bogged down in long-term planning when the RNG could lob a curveball at us at any given moment. Honestly, as long as we get to see at least one or two new things out here, I will be quite content. Oh man. Yeah, and see, like, while they might not be good for normal quests, citadels like Thunberg here are loaded with all sorts of potentially useful facilities. Also, potentially decent prices. Or smelters. Is that copper? No, that would be a copper mine. I'm not sure if this one actually has trade goods. One sec. Man, we do need to buy dogs at some point. I'm just hesitant because of the, you know, soul-crushing sound effects. And yeah, no trade goods. We will grab some tools, though. Oh, that's our other long-term goal today. Aside from hiring a 12th, we also want to drop 5K for a card expansion. Retired soldier. Decent combat stats. Lower than average health, fatigue, and initiative. Pass on that for now, but that's a maybe for later. They're not the ones who get old. That's the sword masters, I think. And Wollen. With a 1 skull on tap. Ooh, also a hunter. Oh man, right at a time when we can't really spare that much gold. Again, we'll put a pin in that, maybe come back for him once we've finished this part of the loop. No trade goods, though they do have mead. Not really much else going on here. Disappointing. Ah, and a delivery contract to Erlak. 180. Hold on, let me... Oh, east. Okay. Right, further down the loop. Right there. Yes. Okay, that's not bad. Once we're done with the west side of the loop, maybe we'll go ahead and grab that on the way back out. But for now, we'll head for Angeln, which looks to be a standard port/fishing town. No trade good outbuildings. Temple, that's useful. Standard fishing town, fish on tap, nets. Nets are handy, I might grab those. Though again, probably on the way back out. Peddler on tap? Oh, no, definitely not. Peddler's already a tough sell stat-wise without them also being a dastardly drunk. You sit alone, studying a map as a stiff breeze tries to take off with you. As you struggle to keep the sheet on the table, King's Rook, the sergeant, one of your men, approaches and slams a mug on the paper's corner. You look up to see he's a bit slack-jawed with drink on his breath. He explains that he shared stories with a local by the name of Bertram the Burgomeister, who has a proposal for you. The maps and lands they detail aren't going anywhere, so you agree to meet with him and hear him out. Oh, okay, yet another parcel run. This time to Eisengrab, we know that one. That's literally where we just started. Decent paycheck. How far out of the way is that? Okay. Well, you know what? That might actually work out. If we hit Karakan and then start heading back this way, we can grab that, then take a roundabout path through the Whispering Hills, check for mobs and outposts on the way back to Eisengrab. Then south from there, grab the other courier quest, and then east. Tentative, obviously, but nice framework of a plan. Abandoned fortress, but not an outpost? Revenant hasn't been writing in his journal so much lately. When he does, the pen only seems to tap the pages now and again, without scribbling anything of import. You inquire as to what has him so bothered. Somber in tone, he says that his primary hope in coming out to these lands was to find the White Nachzerer, a monster that's larger than any of its kind. You tell him that you've slain a few Nachs that were quite rotund, but the anatomist shakes his head. Per the literature, the Nachzerer cannot be felled by any man, for it has grown to such proportions that its flesh has turned white, and it is covered in a great ridge of calloused skin that no steel can penetrate. It was spotted roaming these lands, and I'd hoped to find it. But it seems that perhaps I have been led astray. Maybe the anatomist who told me this tale have put me on a great snipe hunt. I worry, Scapegrace, that I have been made a fool of. You tell him that this creature sounds like the king of Nachzerers, and if that's the case, then perhaps it no longer roams, but instead uses a small army of lesser Nachzerers to do its bidding for it. The anatomist smiles. Truly, this may be the case. Of course, it took the scrying eye of the laity, so used to staring up at our purpled suzerains, to bring this to my clouded attention. Agreeing with yourself further, you note that perhaps the White Nachzerer is so pale because it doesn't get much sun. The anatomist laughs. Please, Scapegrace, the first observation was sufficient input from your side. Ow. Rev, buddy. Alright, well, just, be careful what you wish for, bud. If we actually do find this thing, I guarantee it's going to eat you alive. And look at that! Our first nomads! From atop a sandy rise, the raiders spy a motley band of misfits wearing most peculiar garb. Bandits, mutters Bowman. They've got that look about them. The rest of the raiders nod their agreement and set off in eager pursuit. Alright, let's do this. Cutthroats and slingers. The nomadic brigands flee into the desert, but finding themselves dogged by the persistent raiders, they eventually stop and turn, jaws set, weapons readied, as they resign themselves to a proper fight. Only to be promptly met by a well-placed arrow, slicing through the neck of one of the cutthroats. Stones fly as the slingers return fire. The other nomads rushing forward under cover of hail. The raiders return the favor, stepping up, undeterred by a few thrown stones. Oop, though perhaps they should have been. One glances off of Rook's shoulder. The stalwart sergeant grunts. Not seriously injured, but there was definitely some sting to it. Valen rushes forward, putting a javelin through a cutthroat butcher's arm. Yeah, we definitely got a bit too overeager with Rook there. And he batters the disarmed cutthroat, spilling him to the sand. Random steps up, brusquely shoving a nomad back. He struck in return, but seems very unimpressed. Sight set on the distant slingers. Bowman puts an arrow through one of their sides. Wow, rude. Rassel impales the cutthroat butcher through the shoulder. More stones fly, clattering off shields, but not deterring Drakiith, as he almost casually strides forward, killing the butcher in passing. Val backs him up. A javelin hurled to the side, clipping a bandit bludgeoner. And he moves up next. Followed by Eerie, flanking a cutthroat swordsman. Random sweeps the cutthroat's legs out from under him, then batters the man to death before he can rise. And the rest of the raiders push forward. As Rev plunges his warfork into a cutthroat throat. The battle all but won. The raiders press the advantage. Rassel fells the first. Trip the next. One by one, they fall like bloody dominoes, gurgling to the sand. A gritty fate, to be sure. But one doubtless deserved. After all, one doesn't get a title like Cutthroat through their good and charitable works. The last of the bandits' front line falls. Only slingers remain. The ones who cast the first stone, now facing their fated final judgment. Well, maybe not that one. He's still got the presence of mind to book it. The second to last falls, cut down by Trip's blade. And the rest of the raiders break out into as best a sprint they can manage in this granular terrain. Drakiith utters a grim chuckle, and Warrior is unleashed. And the slinger quickly takes pause. leg firmly ensconced in warrior's bloodied teeth. The last of the cutthroats drops screaming to the dune, thrashing, flailing, club wielded with wild abandon as he tries to beat the beast off. The raiders grimly circle the fallen bandit. A swing of Annie's flail, and the fight is at an end. Okay. Nothing really jumping out at me. I mean, we'll take the supplies, we'll take the gold. We'll take the more valuable of the weapons, so I think most of these are now below our current tier. Ooh, maybe not these, though. I'll have to compare the staff slings side by side, but those seem to be something new. As are these shields. Fragile, but with higher range defense. Interesting. I will have to study some numbers, since I'm not super familiar with a lot of this stuff, but we also have some level ups in the queue, so let's go ahead and knock those out. And yeah, totally slipped my mind that Val went up a level last time around, but he's pretty straightforward. Obviously, we'll take the +5 in range, and then beyond that, I guess, let's say fatigue and initiative. And then for his feat, while my initial impulse would be to go for throwing expert, which is a huge boost to his damage output, I think we've actually got to give it to bags and belts first. That one's pretty much mandatory for any serious thrower. It's a net gain on fatigue, more slots for throwing ammo. And then for the sling... Hold on, let me do a quick side-by-side here. Okay. So definite bump on damage, like a full 10-point swing. We'll also slot 2 more stacks of javelins. His next feat will either be throwing expert or quick hands. Both are pretty vital for his build. Spare knife goes to wrestle. And arrow. You, I am not entirely sure about. I mean, my instinct is to go bullseye, but it's such a relatively niche feat. I'm just not sure it's worth it. So really, I think it's either overwhelm or footwork. Overwhelm is more universally useful, but, you know, obviously having footwork on tap is good for emergency situations. I mean, given those 3 options, I'd probably go overwhelm. That's kind of what I've been setting myself up for. That plus fearsome. But, you know, we've only got 5 slots left to play with, and we've got a lot of high-priority feats to come. Nimble, Berserk, Killing Frenzy. Not to mention earlier utility stuff we kind of skipped over, like Recovery, Pathfinder, Relentless. I mean, even Student is still technically on the table, since in theory it would be refunded once we hit 11. I don't know. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think. See some second opinions. My current thought is overwhelm, and then just kind of lean into the high tier stuff from there, but let me know what y'all think. Signs of Undead, that's got to be Ancient Legionaries. And Karakin, our first southern city-state. Set up with a bevy of useful facilities. Oh, you know what? Let's go ahead and condense those direwolf pelts. We've got some cash to spare. We do not have armor yet, I think, that's worth actually slapping that on, but this will at least reduce it from 6 slots to 2. We'll hold off on the rest, though. And how are we looking on prices? Oh, handgun, my beloved. I really want to try that out. But first, we need to find some people who are actually good with range weapons. Sellsword. Way out of our price range right now, but... Oh, a caravan hand. Let me, a bit pricier than I'd like, but let me get a look at that caravan hand. We do need a 12th. We do need a caravan hand, at least long enough to proc the storage upgrade. Tough. That's not a bad one to have. You know what? Yes, I will take him. One sec, let me get him set up. And we're back with a big raider welcome to Setris, our new caravan hand. At least long enough to get that storage upgrade. Though I've got to say, as far as star placement goes, he's got some decent potential. No 3 stars, obviously, but at least they're all in combat skills. The 2-star in melee defense is particularly welcome. So, even though I just primarily brought him in for the ambition and the event, he might be a raider for the long haul. Assuming, of course, that he's lucky enough to survive. As for local prices, they're not great. But, we will go ahead and unload all of our northern trade goods. That'll bump us back over 5k. Give us just enough to securely grab that cart upgrade. Might as well do that before we get any other potential loot. We haven't lost too much thus far, but, it always does pain me to leave loot behind. So 5,000 gold invested in potential future loot yields. A whopping 27 extra inventory slots. Next goal is to save up 3,500 for the blacksmith. 35? No, 3,000. Okay, so that's even better. So let's get back to work. Zori al-Bajani, the Vizier of Treasury, is standing over a map so enormous that it cannot fit on any table, but is instead parceled out and spread across the marbled floor. It seems unnecessary, as a map could be easily contained in proper resolution, but you keep this observation to yourself. The Vizier walks over the paper and points at a location. Beasts have set upon this part of the realm and are seeing to its destruction in a manner that I have not agreed to. I've more important matters to attend to there. He points to another area of the map, which just looks like a bunch of empty desert. He continues. So I need a man such as yourself, Crownling, to see to these roaming monsters. Particularly to your success, you will be rewarded 460 crowns, which would be more than suitable. Hunting down strange new beasts and getting paid to do it? Sounds good to me. But I'm sure you can do better than that on pay. Fair enough, it's 490 crowns when the contract is done. You've got yourself a deal. Hunt down that which terrorizes Karakin. Having finally gathered the coin and equipment, you manage to assemble a full complement of 12 able fighters. When next you walk down Karakin's main streets, the men break into a full-throated marching song. A few of the townsfolk mutter under their breath about dirty mercenaries taking over the town, but others walk alongside and shout the words with you. Stand tall, brothers. People can see this is a real mercenary company now, and not a handful of wandering vagabonds, Revenant declares. We trade in strength, and now that our numbers have gone up, so will our price. It appears he has the right of it. You notice one particularly fat nobleman sizing up the company, as if he already has a task in mind. The RetconRaiders are now a force to be reckoned with. Once the men have settled in for a celebratory drink, perhaps you should take another stroll through town to see if any more lucrative contracts may be available. Neat. Would have made more sense narratively if I'd gotten this event before I took that job, but, we'll just pretend that's the way it worked out. Also, slightly weird that Rev is the one talking us up as a mercenary company, considering he's technically one of our 3 employers, but I suppose we are ultimately but a tool in his arsenal. Not far into the desert, the raiders find themselves stalked by strange, loping, cackling figures. Arrow suddenly barks. Those aren't dogs. What the hell are those? An arrow loosed, it sinks into a squat, brutish figure, provoking a ululating, guttural cry. The figure snarls, head low, teeth bared, haunches tense like corded steel. They're just hyenas, Centris says, somewhat bewildered by his new companion's strange behavior. They are dangerous, though, he hastily adds, as yet more appear from beyond the rise, rushing towards the raiders' line. Fascinating, eerie in tones. Not quite dog, but not quite direwolf. I look forward to seeing their insides. The rest of the raiders follow his lead, stepping up to gamely join the battle. The one yet circles, and Annie quickly moves to intercept. Huh, quicker than they look. Merlin grunts as he steps up to the south. But not quick enough, Trip says, blade wetted with a beast's blood. Drakiith steps up as well, warrior loping behind. Warrior circles wide, even as his master mutely puts a blade through one of the hyena's necks. A hurled javelin, and the mortally wounded beast falls. They die just like any other beast, Valen shrugs. So it would appear, King's Rook observes dryly. Rev nods in clinical agreement, emulating Rook's movement, piercing yet another. And Warrior engages with the one that is not yet distracted. That is less than ideal. Was really hoping you'd focus on the wounded one, buddy, but, oh gosh, okay, yeah, The beasts unleash their pent-up fury, yelps and grunts ringing as blood is drawn. Eerie impales the one pinned on Revenant's Warfork. Trip savages another. Bloodying it before Valen puts it down. Centris quickly rallies to Warrior's aid. Well, no, I mean, there's plenty of others who can do that. He pushes north, moving to Annie's side, whilst the rest of the raiders focus their ire on the south. Rook wrenches the haft of his pike, gutting the beast he had already impaled. Annie batters another on the north. Drakiith moves to Warrior's aid, his blade biting deep in the hyena's haunch. And the fight rages on. Merlin takes a bold move, club raised, but the effort sadly not paying off. He was simply too weary after that initial maneuver. Which is a point in favor of Pathfinder. That is a good one for our frontliners to have, especially if we're going to spend much time down here in the sandy dunes. Spying a gap in the lines, arrow takes aim. But his shot goes wide, clipping off Drakiith's shoulder. "Sorry," he shouts. Trip quickly fills the gap, his blade finding better purchase. The beast wavers. They're brutish and fierce, but these hyena seem cowardly at heart. Rook puts yet another down, then steps back. Nodding the rest of the raiders towards the north. They follow his direction. Though a few do linger, just to finish the last on the south. Ratzel makes quick work of it. And the last on the north, bloodied and tattered, growling in defiance, falls neath Annie's flail. That wasn't too bad. Like a middle ground between doggos and direwolves. Plus a new brew. Bloodgate Brew. Brewed with a previously unknown gland from the savage desert hyena, this hearty brew transforms even the frailest man into a font of endurance. Even the most grievous of wounds will stop bleeding and close in a fraction of the time. Half bleed damage. Well, I've got to say, as far as brews go, that one's pretty unimpressive, but we'll take it. Honestly, our big prize here is the fur, which unfortunately we only got the one of. Those, I believe, can be used to craft a fantastic new armor mod. You're not entirely sure, as you're not particularly knowledgeable about the creature, but you find yourself staring at the hyenas with contempt. They bear the marks of trash diggers, cretins which hunt the weak despite having the strength and numbers to fight for their food. It is only when meeting you, seeing their own finality on the line, did they decide to fulfill their beastly destiny. You cut their heads off and ready a return to Zuri al-Bajani. Wrap it up, raiders. We've got places to be. And back to Karakin. Zuri al-Bajani, the Vizier of Treasury, is already outside his palace when you return. He has a few men in silken garb standing at his side. When you deposit the hyenas' corpses, these men hurry the bodies away. The Vizier remains with a few guards at his sides. He snaps his fingers and a servant hands you a chest of crowns. The Vizier nods. "Well done, Crownling. We shall make good use of these parcels, which you have delivered in good time." Parcels? You thought you were here to help solve a monster menace. As guards hurry you out of the square, you eye one of the wise men using a protractor to start making measurements, while another man sets up a pedestal and begins to paint. Huh. Not entirely sure what to make of that, but we still got paid, so I guess I can't complain. And I think we're pretty much done here. Yeah, sadly, while they do have ample trade goods, the pricing is a bit beyond what I'm really comfortable with. I think we will have to bump up our rep with these guys for a bit before that'll really be worth our while. That's fine, though. We're down here for at least another couple of weeks. We'll just follow the loop. Though our next stop is actually back in the other direction. Back towards Eisengrab. We'll hit Anglin, grab that courier mission, fill in some gaps in the wilderness. Who knows, maybe we'll luck out, find an outpost worth plundering. though nothing just yet. Oh, shoot. Goblin Raiders. Dangerous, but well worth our time. Actually, are wolves, do they drop a potion? Is this one potion or two? I guess we'll find out. Let's run them down. As the raiders push towards Anglin, they spy peculiar figures in the distance, their proportions all wrong even in the shimmering haze of the midday sun. Despite their initial inclination to give them wide berth, the anatomists insist on investigating. And as they draw closer, the small mob suddenly splinters, the baying howl of wolves and the cackle of goblins, signaling the true nature of their very wary prey. Bowman is the first to react, arrow loosed, but falling just short of the speeding figures. The rest of the raiders shuffle restlessly, shields at the ready, weapons poised. The riders are clearly trying to encircle them, so they cap either end of their line, ready to receive their flanking run. Goblin Wolf Riders, Valen confirms, saying out loud what most of the raiders are already thinking. Watch your flanks. They don't fight fair. So what's the play here? Do they keep circling? Do they come straight in? No, still circling. Interesting. Okay. The riders continue their wide circle. Compensating for his first missed shot, Bowman knocks another arrow. And fires true. The lead rider stumbles. An arrow protruding from the wolfen mount's flank. So clearly they're still trying to get around us, since we have an open gap on our rear. But if we have someone standing adjacent to every potential open slot, how will they approach? Now will they rush in? Or will they continue aiming for this double wide here? No, they are definitely going for the double wide. Okay, interesting. Well, in that case, for once our lack of range will actually come in handy, because with only 2 range units, we can rearrange our line, we can cluster our melee guys around our 2 range fighters. Though first, another arrow loosed, this time striking a goblin rider rather than the mount beneath. An arrow protrudes from his thin, green neck, blood pulsing down over his blackened leather. He gurgles, gesturing frantically, though his associates seem not to care much for his fate. Meanwhile, the raiders begin to contemplate how to best shift their line. Arrow and Val side by side, completely ensconced in a wall of shield and bristling pikes. Okay, yeah. They are very clearly trying to get to whichever side has the most open gaps. In which case, we will go ahead and consolidate. Val and Bowman side by side. Shield surrounding them as much as possible. Pikes on rear. Another arrow loose, this time falling short. The raiders nod, some quick gestures, and their formation shifts. Back to back, comes the cry. And as one, the group begins to move. Alright, yeah, let's do this. Just, looking at our initiative order here. Okay, shields on west, north, south. Pikes on rear, east. Val and Arrow at center. Yeah, so let's do it like this. Oh, no, that's awkward. Go ahead, Arrow. Nope. Okay, let's do it like this. Arrow and Val step up towards each other, create the core. Rassel holds. King's Rook and Rev both step towards him, while the rest of the shields... while the rest of the shields just create a dome. You know what? That's fine. That's fine. We've got kind of a fish thing going on. Fish formation. Let's hope they take the bait. And look at that. Growing increasingly frustrated by the raiders' ever-shifting lines, the riders finally charge forth. The first promptly met by a javelin through the shoulder. The next by an arrow through the thigh. Trip lashes at his own foe as well, but keeps his shield at the ready. The raiders' formation unfolds, snapping outward like some thorny, bristling flower, ready to engulf their goblin prey. The first of the riders goes tumbling, its mount cut out from beneath it. Random batters another. And Cetrus joins the fray, landing a glancing strike. The goblins return the favor, setting into the raiders with wild abandon. But for one who continues to circle. At least until a well-placed arrow cuts out its mount from below. Rook gashes another rider's head open, its ear in tatters, and Trip sweeps the legs from neath its mount. Val steps up, javelin poised. A quick toss, a death gurgle, a goblin falls. The raiders rally to the south. 3 riders yet remain. Though Annie is quick to dispatch the last of the actual wolves. Random pounces on the felled rider, ensuring he does not rise. Cetrus runs the second to last one through, and the raiders converge. The last of the goblins, clearly rethinking some life decisions. He scampers almost comically through the sand. Arrows sailing overhead. Drakiith takes a few steps after him before seeing the pointlessness of such a pursuit. And Warrior is unleashed. The rest of the raiders rally. Their foe won't get far, not with Warrior on its trail. Though it still yet tries, of course, I mean. Such is simple biological imperative. And yet it is a futile effort in the end. Here he approaches. The goblin's gaze strays. And that's all the opening warrior needs. And the goblin's throat is removed. Which nets us yet another brew. The Potion of Fleetfoot. Developed from drugs found on goblin frontline troops, this can grant a man the celerity typically found in the diminutive greenskins. May result in minor skin discoloration. Half cost on rotation or fancy footwork. Pretty much a must-have for any dedicated shieldman. Which we don't have just yet, but we do have some potential prospects. Both Verlin and Eerie, I think, are coming in too low on defense to ever truly comfortably lose those shields. Though, Cetrus, my goodness, you are off to a good start, my friend. Only real weak spot is that morale, but we can shore that up over time. Man, yeah, he might be a keeper. Obviously not as high-end as a full-on sellsword, hedge knight, or adventurous noble, but he's not bad for a mid-tier. We'll go ahead and bump that fatigue. He might actually end up being one of our first actual great weapon wielders. In fact, yeah, you know, with that toughness, he's definitely got some strong prospects for a potential shieldless build. Once we get his base defense up to a more acceptable range. As for Bowman, still on the fence, but still leaning Overwhelm. Though, you know, part of me still really feels like Bullseye or Footwork might be good investments. We just have so many other things coming up. So many other potentially more useful or potent feats coming into play. Yeah, let me know what you guys think on that. But for now, we move on to King's Rook, who, as per usual, gets some pretty decent rolls, minus that one in melee. But that's fine. That gives us a chance to shore something else up, and I think this time we'll go ahead and grab that max roll in initiative. Push him towards the 100-point target. And as for his feat, we'll go ahead and grab Polearm Mastery, give him a bit more flexibility. level 7's basically nimble for everyone. That one's pretty much mandatory for how we've been building these guys. Though beyond that, for our pole armors, I'm thinking Overwhelm, Fearsome, Berserk, Killing Frenzy, Fortified Mind. That one's important for our bannermen. But I guess that would be pretty much it. That would be all 5 of our remaining slots. So no recovery, no Pathfinder. Oh, and then as for our new ambition, we're already down here. Might as well grab the city-state one. We're focused on building rep with those guys anyway, just so we can load up on trade goods. Wait, is that not? That's a new contract. That is not the one we put a pin in. You enter England to find Meinrad the Elder talking to a group of peasants. Seeing you, he quiets them all down. Shush, the lot of you. This man here can solve our problem. The townsman takes you aside. Exsellsior, we have a bit of a problem. There's a relic I need finding. Some such thing by the name of Elder Stone. I don't really give a good old god's damn about it, but these people worship it for spring rains and winter shelter. Naturally, it's gone missing, and for whatever reason, folks think it's gone off to a place by the name of Crumbled Fortifications all on its own. Nobody'll go there, but you will, yes? For the right price, of course. Oh, that's an undead contract. Pretty much guaranteed ancient undead. Which we might be able to handle. I mean, ancient auxiliary are easy. Ancient legionaries, not so much. We will put a pin in that, because I am going to have to review our gear. Though, I mean, I'll say now, we're almost guaranteed to end up taking that, because while it is not what we came here to do, that's pretty much a guaranteed potion. But at what potential cost? That said, we'll hit the pause button for now. I will shuffle some things around, take care of the usual off-screen bookkeeping, and we'll pick up here next time as we make those bones. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Erie V23, Revenant, Alois, Arrow Bowman, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.